Hey everybody, it's Paul from Screenwriting Mentor. Today we're going to do what I like to do with softwares. I'm going to take a look at one and just give you my initial impressions. We're going to go through it a little bit, see what it's like. Today we're going to look at Arc Studio Pro. Now, I have done a video on that quite a while ago. It was one of the first videos I did, one of my top 5 things I liked about Arc Studio Pro. And since then, the program has gone through a lot of different iterations. It used to be sort of like a standalone program that you could use when I first used it. Now it's a web-based program. So there's been a lot of updates to it. So I'm really excited to show you what it looks like today. So let's dive in and just see what it looks like and how we use it. I'll do a more in-depth view in a separate video, but let's just take my initial thoughts and see what it looks like compared to where we started with probably about a year and a half ago to where we're at today. So come and join me. Let's take a look. So I'm in the program now and I signed in, and this is the screen that I see right now. On the left side, you can see there's really not a lot here. It's very minimalistic, which is just fine. There's nothing wrong with it having a lot of different things. So it's interesting that it's like this right now. So we're at the dashboard, so I haven't started a project yet. We're going to do that here in a couple minutes. And the script I have right now is one that doesn't have very much in it. So we're going to take a look at how to add scripts, what projects look like, settings, what's new, refer, friend, and support. So let's sort of dive into each of the sections. Let's wait on these first couple ones up here at the top, simply because these are going to be more detailed. So let's take a look at settings. So what does settings shows up? So it's some interesting things about settings. Page zoom, we got system, dark light, depending what you like, Courier Prime. Okay, so one of the questions I had asked me before was, can there be something other than Courier? And there's a couple different versions of Courier that you can use, but Courier is what you should be using. And so these are some other different ones if you want a slightly different version of Courier. Again, the reason why they use Courier is it helps remind people, so each page is about a minute of screen time. So we can have show word count. Let's click that on. Formatting palette pop-up appears when text is selected. So it's a fixed. Let's just do that. Icon next to paragraph, so we get an element in menu, so that's going to be on. Headers and footers, full. Highlight characters, we got colors we can use. Audio capitalize, I always like that. Action is followed by action. Dialogue is followed by character. Yeah, I mean, all those things. I mean, you can switch this to, so if you want, every time you do an action scene, you want a character to pop up next, you can do that, or I'm assuming you can do that. Let's see if they got the interesting thing is I can't go down that menu very well when I'm in full screen. I can't see that. Let me pop out of full screen here for a second. So it doesn't look like I can easily get down here to look at everything. Let's see if I can. Well, it looks like there's only 3 things. It looks like there's only, I can't tell if there's anything at the end of the menu or not. Okay, so that's interesting. So let's go back to getting into full screen. All right, profile, billing, we don't really need to know that. Notifications, receive notifications when someone leaves a comment on your script. Cool. Writing schedule, remind me to write on the following pages, or I should say days, not pages. So that's nice that you can have sort of a writing schedule. Send me your progress reports the following day. That's pretty cool. So if you're somebody who really needs to have sort of that, okay, we need to keep working, you need something to push you, this would be a nice sort of thing to have in there. So, all right. Doc information, small town movie critic. If you're wondering, that's what I used to call my channel. I can change that to Screenwriting Mentor, or just easier, written by me, Paul. Target, page target, 110. Logline, genre. I was thinking of doing a thriller. I was thinking of writing a thriller right now, so maybe we'll do something like that. Logline. So here's some interesting things that you don't see in everything of production. So you can lock pages. It looks like that's in a beta. So you lock pages so you don't want different scenes to move around on you and stuff like that. You have scene numbers, also show in right margin. We have that hidden right now. Display type, so you can see how big stuff is, and I am blind. So, oh, sorry, display type is just sort of how they put numbers around, and numbers and letters for dates and stuff like that. Sorry, I was thinking font size. I am blind, and so yeah, I need the big stuff. It's always fun getting older. 0 padding minimum, total digits per screen number, dialogue numbers. Okay, nothing I'm really worried about. Page layout, elements template, and we're using a film screenplay. That's what we were doing. Page layout, standard 60 characters per line. So everything else is pretty much what you expect. And it looks like you're going to have some ability to change stuff if you need to, depending on what you're writing for. Headers and footers. Again, I'm not going to mess with any of this because everything is basically what I need. Element settings. So you have scene heading, action, character, parenthetical, dialogue, shot, transition. There you go. So that's the settings. I mean, it's pretty easy to get at. And you see, as you can see, everything sort of explained itself to you. So looks good so far. Let's take a look. What's new? So the interesting thing is when I booted this up, it tells you it has a pretty long menu of everything that they've done. It's been quite a while. Let's take a look and see when the last time I've been on here. So it's been since July 21st, 2021. And you can see all the different things that they've done to improve it. This is a long, look at the slider bar. So we're already, when I last was on here, it was down here. Look at all the improvements that they have had. Let's take a look at April 5th. Big quality of life redesign. I just popped up on this. Redesign editor for extra joyful writing. Big improvements that let you navigate the app with even more ease. Let's learn a little bit more about that. Oh, good. They have a little video about it and stuff like that. Your script title is now larger and centered in the middle of the top bar. We've added breadcrumbs so you can navigate to your season Bible from the episode. So good for television writers. So cool. So those are all good. Views and toolbars are clearly labeled for easier navigation. Improved breadcrumb navigation. So basically breadcrumbs is like, so how do we get from point A to point B? If you think of the story of the little kids who left breadcrumbs so they could get out of the forest, that's sort of where they're getting at. I mean, it just sort of helps you find where different things are at. Improved navigation between views. Second sidebar, have more tools available when you need them. Improved co-writer indicators on top. Centralized settings for easier access and tons of bug fixes and small improvements. And like I said, you can see, I know they're starting to work with AI research assistants. So I know that they're beginning to do that. And I think that's in the beta right now, if I remember right. I think that is in the, yeah, I think this is sort of in the beta. Ask your personal, let's see, request access. Yeah, so it's in the beta. It's in the beta. So there we go. So they have a beta. So, and that's what we're seeing right now too with just screenwriting softwares in general. You're seeing the power of AI, and most programs are sort of running to see how they can go about adding AI to their program. So, okay. So, interesting what new. The nice thing about this is they have videos and blogs linked to things in there to give you better explanation. So refer a friend, pretty self-explanatory. Support. So wherever you're having problems, report a problem. How do you use the AI research assistant, which funny enough, we just were at. So I think that's probably why it popped up. How do I create a note on a beat? How do I make a note full screen? How do I delete a note? The notes are new, so I'm not surprised. Or I should say they've added new features with notes, so I'm not surprised that this is popping up for me as well. The nice thing about this, you can report a problem. Feature requests, have an idea about how to make your work easier. Tell us. And that's the one thing I've noticed about a lot of these screenwriting software programs is they really want you to ask them what you want, which is interesting because Final Draft doesn't do that. Fade In doesn't do that as much. They don't. Those programs are pretty much done. Final Draft, as much as it is sort of the leader in the industry, I'm interested to see what the next iteration is because they've not done a lot of iterating with Final Draft. At least I mean, they've done some iterations with it, but I think a lot of these newer programs are actually going to push Final Draft, which I'm really excited about, that they're going to push Final Draft a little bit more so that they have to get off their keysters and do some more stuff, because I think there's a lot more that Final Draft can do that it's not. And simply because, well, we're the OG in the space. We're the ones that, everybody's got to be, we have to have Final Draft format, But I think if Final Draft doesn't get off its keister, it's not going to be the OG in the space. It's not going to be the one that everybody is going to want to use, especially where we're at in Hollywood right now. With the studio system right now, the studios like Final Draft. But what happens if the studios can't be making good pictures anymore? What if we have something else that comes up? And so that's interesting to think about as well too. All right, so let's take a look at projects. We have no new projects yet. If I do a new project, name of project, so TV series with outline folder. Okay, so it looks like the new projects are probably going to be if you're writing a TV. I'm not, and again, this is just me in the programs. We're just learning about it together. I'll know a little bit more once I go into an in-depth review of it. But for right now, that's interesting. So if we're doing a TV series, we could do that. There's a folder for it, TV series with outline. All right, so let's see how it works with scripts. And let's see the different icons that show progress indicator, show archived, card view, and list view. So let's take a look when we add a script. Okay, so we can import a script. So that was pretty easy. So all I did was just click the plus button. So can we import a script? So let's import a script. Okay, so I picked a script, and I'm going to pick one from my Endless Pages one, which has a lot of different. Basically, my Endless Pages one is one where I watch for 15 minutes a day. So I'm going to take a look at that and see how that looks. Again, I'm just going to put Paul. So create script. And we'll see what it looks like. Okay. So interesting here. So I pulled up my script. So the first thing let's do, because some of the other programs I've used in the past, they have problems when I pull a script in, making sure that everything pulls in correctly. So let's just take a moment. I'm going to pull down and look here and just sort of see how everything sort of looks. It looks like everything's in the right format. So that looks great. Perfect. Awesome. Okay. Now I'm going to pull down to the middle of the script. Okay. Everything's looking good. Okay. Perfect. So first thing I'm noticing right now, the script looks like the formatting's fine. Everything looks like it's supposed to look. So part one, great job, Arc Studio Pro, for bringing my script in. And I say that, I'm not being facetious or anything like that. I'm really happy because I've been running into some other programs. Some of the newer programs right now are not able to import the file and keep the formatting as they need to. So perfect. That looks great. All right, so let's take a look at the right side of the screen right now first, because the left side looks a little busy. Let me start with the right because it doesn't look as bad. All right, so let's see if I can figure out which each of these. So I can share this. Changes, start marking changes. So if I'm going to start changing my script, I can start marking it so I can see what the changes are. Okay, that's good. So I can export it. And I don't know, I think this is just probably, since it's going off my old name, I think that's what the SC is. So, all right, so if I do the settings, okay, so some of the settings again, I can look at that I've changed in the past, that I can change on the other settings. So I'm just seeing the same setting that I looked at on the front page. So looks good. Perfect. All right, so the stash. So the stash is a place for discarded text snippets that if you want to keep it around just in case, select a few paragraphs and click the stash icon in the formatting tool to place it here. Okay, well, let's give it a try. Select a few paragraphs and select the stash tool in the formatting tool to place it here. All right, so let's take this and cut, So let's throw this. So I'm just hovering stash. Let's put it in the stash. Perfect. So that looks like that was really easy. I just selected the text and now I have it. Yep. So it's small town movie critic. So that's what it's got at me as. So, so delete stash. Let's see what happens if it goes back. Oh, it didn't go back. So, all right. So that's interesting. Now let's see if I can undo, and then I can undo again. Okay, so there you go. So I put it back in, works fine. So that's interesting. So if I want to pull out some text, work on it, you know, individually, I can stick it here. So that's pretty neat. I can unpin the sidebar or pin it if I like. So if I have elements. So if I want to add a storyline element, let's see what it has. So I can write an element for that. And let's see what I have. I have access to open images. And what's my 3? I can remove the plot if I don't like it. So this is pretty interesting. Let's see if, okay, so I can import from script. Ah, okay. So I can take a character, and I have a bunch of different characters here. You can tell I've done fantasy and science fiction as well too. Orc 1, Orc 2, and I have like Lieutenant Connor, that type of stuff. So, all right, so I can, let's pull Vice Admiral Thrawn. I don't think I wrote anything about that. That's interesting. Okay, let's undo that for a second. Okay, so let's import from script. I'm going to pull somebody that I know that has some parts in here. Let's pull, let's see here. Let's pull Major Kira. Yes, Major Kira, I think. So let's pull here. So, okay, so that tells me if we want to give the sex to the person, if I want to create an image with her. What is this? Oh, note. Okay. So that's a note. That's how we open a note. So we're looking at the storyline. We have a little note that we can have. Open in the right panel. Let's see. You can pin note or delete the note. You can add a new note. Okay. Perfect. Perfect. So if I want to write that she is in command of the Defiant when Cisco is done. Just so you know, I wasn't writing a Star Trek one. I think I just picked her name just for funsies because I just needed a name because I just wanted to keep working. So, all right. So, okay, cool. So I can import that from the script. I can import Federation. Now it does sound. I thought you, Paul, you weren't doing a Star Trek script. No. Let's see here. So we do lead shuttle. There we go. And then you can add an image, add a note, add some text, interior. Perfect. Okay. So, cool. So then I can pull those in. I can drop those out. Okay. So that's a nice sort of feature. So as we're working on stuff, we have elements we can work with. We have a stash over here. So we haven't even touched the central part yet. So I'm just was working on the right side. I'd just gotten back from Australia, so that makes sense, right? I'm working on the right, working my way to the left. Okay, let's take a look at the middle. So as we're looking at the middle, so this section here, which is the main screenplay, so endless pages, which is what I had called it. So it's a main draft, and I can change this to take a snapshot. I can rename it. I can create an alternate draft. So there's a lot of different things I can do with Arc Studio Pro right now. So again, these all work. So if I want to change this to a supplementary draft, I'm assuming taking a snapshot is taking a look at what this looks like now. So pretty cool. Pretty standard stuff. Let's see if there's a script. Let's take a look if there's a board. Start your beat board outline. Let's take a look at, so they have a bunch of different ones. They have the basic 3-act structure, 3-act with a midpoint break, 5-act TV, Sid's Fields Paradigm, Save the Cat, and John Truby's 22. Let's just do a basic 3-act structure and see what it does. So I have a bunch of untitled beats, and I can add a beat for each of the acts in the screenplay. Let's see what it does when I do an outline. So Act 1. So I'd have to add the beats that I want, and so then it would create those for me. So again, for the board, let's take a look at the board again one more time. Okay, you can go back up. You can go back up. You can do it. There you go. All right, so as we're looking at the board, So I can add. So again, this is, you can pick and choose what you want for this. And so you can put an untitled beats in here, you know, for whatever you want. So, you know, you have, you know, inciting incident, you know, or maybe a reversal or a character description or whatever you want for your beat, however you want to label it. So you have all that stuff in Act 1, you'd have all that stuff in Act 2, and I'm assuming you'd have everything in, there's Act 3. So I just use the slider bar down here at the bottom. You can see the slider bar down here at the bottom. Let's see what focus mode looks like right now. Okay, so the only thing so it's asking me to rate the import quality. It was good. I think it was good. All right, so I'm in focus mode. So as you can see, I'm not distracted by other stuff. So that's neat. They have a focus mode. So if I go to outline, so it takes each of these three things. So it would have all the beats I would have in a particular order. You can start writing here. So the neat thing about what we're seeing right now, so if you want to start in your script, you can start on your script. If you want to start on a board, you can start on a board. If you want to do an outline, which is what I like to do first, you can do an outline. And so you have these different things. So you can switch through these different modes. Look how easy it is. You know, I'm just clicking one button, you know, just clicking through between each of them, you know, perfect. Easy to do. Okay. So let's see what this other little icon is. Oh, you can tell it how long you want to write for. So you can have it nag you when I don't write. So in some sense you have a little coach here to tell you, hey, you need to be writing, you know, keep writing. You can write for, let's say I'm going to write for 10 minutes. We could write for 10 minutes and see what that does for us as well too. So cool. All right. So let's take a look at different things here. So we have bold, italics, underline, strike through. So if we don't like something, we can strike through it, uppercase, and highlight text. So as we're looking here through this as well too, it tells you, I think that's how many words you have. Let's see. Okay. So again, if we're having any problems here, we're right here with our support. So the question mark, which is what I clicked, got us to the support. 1 out of 93 tells you which page that we're on. All right. Well, let's try to talk about the script. Let's do, and it doesn't really matter what happens in this script. Okay. So the film I was thinking of working on, so I had gone on a trip to Australia with my family. My daughter got to sing at the Sydney Opera House as part of a choir. It was great. The problem we had a lot. For whatever reason, they didn't like my passport. You know, how can you not love a beautiful face like this? But it had to do with the passport wasn't dark enough. And so it made it hard for us to get on the plane to do a transit visa through New Zealand, because we were flying from Cairns to New Zealand and then to San Francisco and then back home. I was thinking of writing a thriller talking about a check-in desk and how a woman is being blackmailed because her family is being held hostage, and so she has to put this bomb aboard a plane. And it's just going to be like 10 minutes, or yeah, it's going to be about 10 minutes or about 10 pages. I'm really trying to work on writing shorts because I think once you get used to having good shorts, it's then you're only having to add another couple pages, you know, and then try to do a 20-page one. So I'm trying to, because sometimes for me, having enough good stuff to happen within a full 100-page screenplay is not always easy. Sometimes I don't always like how things are laying out. So I'm going back to really, and sometimes it might be easier, it might be harder, but to try to do this. So let's just start by being in the interior of, so the nice thing, so here's something neat. You know, it knows all my locations. So all these are locations I have here. You know, so this is pretty neat. So I downloaded this and it automatically found all my locations. Pretty cool. I bet you it's going to actually remember all my characters as well too. So it's interior, theater, station. So what I was going to do was going to make one of the people an actor, and they're going to go through, if you saw Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, sort of talking about the good of the many outweigh the good of the one. Something about Spock, and sort of show how people deal with that. So that's sort of where I was going with that. So this one of those people is going to actually work as not like a flight attendant, but the people who check in, a check-in desk person. So that's looking really good. There are 2 actors. So I'm not going to write the whole thing while we're here, but just to put some pieces in there, 2 actors and teacher are going to go over a scene. So just so we can get used to doing each bit. So then all right, so then what I did next was it had a list of characters for me. So I can pick, and all I did was hit tab. So it automatically pulled up the action. And so what I did was hit tab. And so again, I'm going to put Jim. And it goes right to dialogue. Again, I just hit entered. Why do we have to do this scene again? And I hit, and then, so then here, if I wanted to say an action, I hit tab, back to action, tab, character. There we go. Perfect. So let's see. The one other thing I have to look at, what are these things here? Oh, these are the different acts. So these are telling you which act you are in. Okay. So that looks good. So let's see if I need to, if I right click, no, if I want to add a new scene heading. Okay. Let's see if we can figure this out here. So, all right. So we started with this, this, and this. So I'm interested to see scene heading. Okay. So Control 1. So all they did was just click on the icon, and so each of these different things I can see. So this is neat to know as shortcuts. So a shortcut is Control 1 for scene heading, actions Control 2, character parentheticals Control 4, dialogues Control 5, shot, and transition. So if I want to say let's do Control 7. Perfect. All right, so I can dissolve to. Boom, there you go. Okay, so that's pretty easy. Okay, so this is real easy to do. I'm not going to have to pick up my fingers much. I'm not going to be running around doing clicks on anything like that. Looks good. All right, so we've gone from the right to the left. Add a comment. So I can add a comment. Let's add a comment, see what that looks like. Public comment. Wondering if this would be a good place to put. This would be a good place to put a dissolve. Okay. Boom. And then do I just click it again? If you have an unsent comment, do you want to send it? Yes. So send it. So I made it public. So if anybody wants to look at it, people can look at it. Okay. So they can resolve it. They can give it ups, downs, crying, teary, 100%. Select the close. So I can add a new tag, so I can hashtag it, or I can just, I can add a new tag so people can say, hey, go to all these, copy link to comment, edit, delete. Let's delete that. Okay. All right. So interesting, not too hard to, and they have again, in what's new, go over that section and then I'll talk to you about what the new sections are. Okay, so now we're going to look at the left side of the screen here to see if we can figure out what's going on. So it's hide beats. So these are beats. Okay, so this is a beat. This is not, I thought at first it was an act. No. So whenever you have a beat, this pulls it up in the little box. Hide scenes, hide previews, filter beats. Numbers, inbox. What is inbox? No beats in the inbox. Okay. So we have drafts. So I can create a snapshot. I can create an alternate draft. So that works really good. Contents, sort of like, so here's the scenes. Okay. All right. Comments, if there's any comments. So if I wrote a comment, so that comment I wrote before would have popped up. And notes on Major Kira. So if you remember when we were over here, we have notes. Okay. So that's good. And this is pinned to the sidebar. We can unpin it, so it'd probably go away if we didn't want that there. Same with this as well, too. If you unpin the sidebar, or if you pin it, there you go. So, and again, you can always go to focus mode. If you don't want any of this other distractions, boom, there you go. It's all good. You can just write. Perfect. And again, you can change the, let's see here. So if I change the settings, so if I want this in dark mode, boom. Light mode, boom. System. So whatever your system is at right now. Perfect. All right, so that's pretty easy. And like I said, here, I'm assuming this 7/8 is talking about how long each of the scenes is. So this is 2 1/8 distance in length, and you can go through and look at all the scenes. So yeah, pretty easy. I can search stuff. Can I search stuff for search document? Okay, so I can search stuff for find. I want to find all the time I had the word orc or divorce. Well, it's just the org. So then, so I can find orc. Perfect. It tells you all 41. You can drop through them. So if you got something that you need to change systematically through the script, pretty easy. All right, let's go back to the desk. Wow, a lot has changed with Arc Studio Pro, but what hasn't changed is just how easy it is to use. I was really impressed by it today. Now I'm going to do a full-length review on it in a different video, but what do you think? What's your initial impressions? These are my initial impressions. I really like it, and then we'll get down to brass tacks in the next video talking about its cost, talking about its features, and the whole 9 yards. So stay tuned to the next video. Well, until the next video, live well and write well.